In the name of the Creator, the Christ, and the Holy Comforter. Amen. You may be seated, my friends. Don't be afraid. I know that you are looking for Jesus. My friends, are those not the words that describe who we are in this moment? We come here on this most sacred of nights when most are asleep in slumber. We come here looking for Jesus. We come here looking for something that will change our lives, the world. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary, they came to that tomb on that first dawn of the resurrection. And they came not knowing what to expect, but they too came looking for Jesus. They thought they were going to finish the preparations for his burial service, to complete the ritual they couldn't on the Sabbath. And yet, instead, they find the stone rolled away and the tomb empty, and a great earthquake and an angel. All of these miraculous things. And the angel says, "Don't be afraid. I know you're looking for Jesus." My friends, aren't we a world that is looking for Jesus today? Aren't we looking for resurrection, hope in the midst of all the brokenness and the despair and the pain? Is that not gather here? I think it is. Tomorrow will be a little bit different when I give this homily, because we'll have people from all walks of life, and these pews will be filled, and there'll be a whole lot of reasons why people are here. Some because their families forced them to, and some because there's the Easter egg hunt, and some because they just like the music. But for some of us, we come to meet Jesus. We come because our lives are untenable as they are. And we seek something greater than ourselves to transform it, to transform this world. And I think that's why in our searching, it's important for us to realize that when we are looking for God, we don't have to look any further than the person next to us. That when we're looking for Jesus in the world, we have to look no further than our neighbor, than that cashier at the back of the counter at McDonald's or at the Stop and Shop, or our gardener, or the people who clean our homes and our offices, our political opponents, perhaps those whom we fundamentally disagree with. Perhaps we only have to look as far as the closest mirror. Because you see, when we seek out Jesus, when we seek out this resurrection moment, we see it and can find it in ourselves. You see, Jesus rose from the dead and conquered death, showing what is truly possible with God when we let our old way of life die. As the Apostle Paul says in our epistle to the church in Rome this evening, we must be crucified with Christ. And the reason why we are is so that the seeds that Christ has planted within us can be broken open, so that the new life that is being nurtured in the depths of our souls by God can start to grow. We come looking for Jesus. And it's more than just a Jesus that is happy feeling. It is a Jesus with power, with strength to change the world. We see the resurrected Jesus in the world, not only when we feed the hungry, But when we strive together as the church, as the people of God, to address the root of what caused that hunger in the first place, we experience the resurrected Jesus and see him alive when we stand up as community saying, no more violence, no more of this insanity with our guns, no more of this insanity with our obsession with keeping those in power who dominate us and tear down God's people. We see Jesus in our very lives, in the smallest of moments, when we take those steps where we become more caring and compassionate, more loving, more focused on the other than ourselves. And perhaps maybe that's why the angel and Jesus said, don't be afraid. Because that's a scary thing, isn't it? To let our old life die so that we can be raised anew. And we're conditioned once we die, that's it. But the power of Easter is that death isn't death. It's a transition to a new way of living, a new way of life with Jesus. The best thing that I can kind of equate it to outside of the resurrection itself is someone who is expecting their first child to be born. You're so excited. There's so much joy and happiness for what is to come, this great gift. But is not every expecting parent for the first time terrified about what's going to happen to their life? Because once that child is born, there's no going back. And the same is true with our life with Jesus. From the moment that he stepped out of the tomb, everything became different. We become different. And so when we cry out to see Jesus, to find Jesus, to look for Jesus, we only have to look at what's around and within us, and to begin the transforming work of letting our old way of life die so that the resurrection can be birthed in us and through us into this world. And that's big. That's huge. So let's narrow it down to something that we can handle. What is one thing? What is one thing that you can let go of this night? What is one thing that you can let die in the waters of our baptism, in the resurrection of Jesus, so that we might become more like one of Jesus' disciples, so that we can become more embodied of the way of love? What is one thing we can let die? Because the truth is, friends, if we can let one thing die, we can let another and another. And it may take days or years or a whole lifetime. But isn't that the gift? We get the gift of abundant time with God, to walk in the resurrection light, to strive together to bring that into the here and now, into our world. It starts by one step. Don't be afraid. I know that you come looking for Jesus. Amen.